I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Yes or no, do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is a ridiculous question, and I
yes
will not
or no?
No.
I will
Chairman,
take that as a yes.
I am not going to respond to that kind of personal attack, which is not a question.
All right, folks, buckle up, because we just witnessed another classic Ilhan Omar moment in Congress. Yep. This time she went after Elliott Abrams, a man who has spent decades defending American interests abroad, and she tried to drag him through the mud over events that happened more than 30 years ago. Now don't get me wrong, oversight is important. Asking questions is part of the job. But what Ilhan Omar did here wasn't about seeking truth. It was about grandstanding, scoring cheap political points, and once again, pushing her anti-American, anti-military narrative.
Ms. Omar.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your testimonies. Mr. Adams, in 1991, you pleaded guilty to 2 counts of withholding information from Congress regarding your involvement in the Iran-Contra affair, for which you were later pardoned by President George H.W. Bush. I fail to understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful.
If I can respond to that.
It wasn't a question.
That
was not a question. I reserve the right to my time.
It is not right.
That was not a question.
Committee can attack
on February 8th,
who is not permitted to reply.
That was not a question. Thank you for your participation. On February 8th, 1982, you testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about U.S. policy in El Salvador. In that hearing, you dismissed as communist propaganda report about the massacre of El Mozote, in which more than 800 civilians, including children as young as 2 years old, were brutally murdered by U.S.-trained troops. During that massacre, some of those troops bragged about raping a 12-year-old girl before they killed them. Girls before they killed them. You later said that the U.S. policy in El Salvador was a fabulous achievement. Yes or no, do you still think so?
From the day that President Duarte was elected in a free election to this day, El Salvador has been a democracy. That's a fabulous achievement.
Yes or no, do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is a ridiculous question, and I
yes or no?
No.
I will take that as a yes.
I am not going to respond to that kind of personal attack, which is not a question.
Yes or no, would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interest, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Whether under your watch, a genocide will take place, and you will look the other way because American interests were being upheld, is a fair question, because the American people want to know that anytime we engage a country, that we think about what our actions could be and how we believe our values are being furthered. That is my question. Will you make sure that human rights are not violated and that we uphold international and human rights
I suppose there is a question in there, and the answer is that the entire thrust of American policy in Venezuela is to support the Venezuelan people's effort to restore democracy to their country. That's our policy.
I don't think anybody disputes that. The question I had for you is that does the interest of the United States include protecting human rights and include protecting people against genocide?
That is always the position of the United States.
Thank you. I yield back my time.
You see that? That right there is the problem. She's not asking about policy today. She's trying to relitigate the Cold War and smear a man who fought for freedom when communism was spreading across Latin America like wildfire. Let's be real. The Iran-Contra affair was complicated, sure, but the bigger picture here is that the US was fighting to stop Marxist dictatorships from taking root in our hemisphere. Elliott Abrams and others did what they had to do in an era where the Soviets were funding every insurgency they could. But of course, Ilhan Omar doesn't want to talk about that. She wants to make America look like the villain every single time. Let me tell you something. America has always stood for democracy, liberty, and human rights, even when our enemies twist the narrative. And when people like Abrams say it was a fabulous achievement, they're talking about stopping tyranny, not celebrating tragedy. But Omar doesn't understand that because her worldview is shaped by constant blame toward the United States. She doesn't see us as the good guys. She sees us as the problem. And that's dangerous, folks. Because if you can't believe that America is a force for good in the world, then you shouldn't be sitting in Congress representing the American people. That's exactly right. Supporting democracy. That's the foundation of what we do. And here's the kicker. Omar acts like she's standing up for human rights, but she has no problem defending groups or regimes that actually oppress women and minorities. The hypocrisy is off the charts. At the end of the day, Elliott Abrams didn't cave. He stood his ground, and he refused to let her turn it into a circus, and I respect that. Because I'll say it loud and clear, America is not perfect, but it's still the greatest nation on earth. We fight for freedom, we defend democracy, and we should never apologize for standing tall. If you agree that our leaders should be defending America, not dragging her through the dirt, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Until next time, stay strong, stay free, and God bless the United States of America.